Hi dear students, we were talking about forensic examination of glass. So welcome to another section of forensic examination of glass, that is collection, preservation and analysis. So let's check how to collect and preserve the glass evidence. So coming to these points, methods used in the search and collection of glass and glass fragments are usually the same as those used for other types of evidences. The evidence of glass must be photographed and their location noted on the sketch before they are touched or moved. This is same for all the evidences, not only for glass. And while collecting these glass fragments, fingerprints, dust, dirt, and bloodstain, all these other foreign evidences you have to check, and you should confirm whether these evidences are there or not. If these evidences are there, you have to collect these evidences first. Then you have to collect and preserve or pack the glass evidences. So always collect the control glass for examination purpose, and like remaining glasses will be there on a window or a car and all, so you have to collect these remaining parts other than the evidences as control samples from the point of breakage. So this will be helpful for the physical matching comparison and all. So let's check point by point what how to collect and preserve the glass evidence. So the gathering of glass evidence at the crime scene and from the suspect must be thorough if the examiner is to have any chance to individualize the fragments to a common source. So we want to know whether this glass fragment is from this specific window or this specific door or this specific car sheet, like that, car window or something like that. So or this specific headlight. So you have to individual like you have to check these kind of things. So gather this glass evidence like that. And if even the remotest possibility exists that fragments may be pieced together, every effort must be made to collect all the glasses found. And for example, we can say like collection of evidence at the hit and run scenes must include all the broken parts of the headlight and reflector lenses. So you have to collect all the broken pieces of the fragments of glasses from the crime scene. This is very important for further examination purpose. And this evidence may ultimately prove to be an invaluable means of placing a suspect vehicle at the accident scene by actually matching the fragments with glass remaining in the headlight or reflector shell of the suspect vehicle. And in addition, an examination of the headlight's filaments may resolve any questions regarding whether or not an automobile's headlights were on or off before the impact. Then an individual fit is thought improbable, the evidence collector must submit all glass evidence found in the possession of the suspect along with a representative sample of broken glass remaining at the crime scene. So already we told that you have to collect a control sample for the physical matching or mechanical fit and all those things. So you have to collect all the evidences and glass evidences with a representative sample of broken glass. This standard or reference glass should always be taken from any remaining glass in the window or door as close as possible to the point of breakage. So, for example, you imagine a car car window glass. In that, bullet was penetrated inside into inside the car, so there will be a hole, so that glass fragments only from the hole broken and it fell down inside the car. What you have to do, you have to collect the fragments from the car like broken pieces from inside the car, and also you have to collect the glass piece, uh, some glass piece from the car car door where the bullet has gone through. So the end, from the entry and exit point of that bullet, near to that point, from that point you have to collect the glass pieces. So from the point of breakage, and also from inside the car, you have to collect the sample. So when you are collecting the sample, you have to check whether it is nearer to the point of breakage. Then it is easy for the physical matching. Then about 1 square inch of sample is usually adequate for this purpose. So for collecting the reference sample, 1 square inch of glass is adequate. Then the glass fragments should be packaged in solid containers to avoid further breakage. So whenever you collected the glass fragments, so when you are packing these glass fragments, you have to pack this in a solid container. Why this is for? Because to avoid further breakage. So imagine that you are covering these glass fragments in a paper or paper envelope and all. So while transporting this to the lab, there is chance of breaking further again. So whenever you are packing, you have to take a solid container. If the suspect's shoes and or clothing are to be examined for the presence of glass fragments, they should be individually wrapped in a paper and transmitted to the laboratory. So when you want to check whether the glass fragments, any small tiny pieces of glass fragments will be there on suspect shoes or clothing or something like that. So what you have to do, you have to take the cloth of maybe it is a shirt, so you have to take out the shirt of the suspect, and you have to wrap it separately. You have to wrap the shoes of that suspect separately. So everything should be uh, kept separately and individually while transmitting to laboratory. It is best that the field investigator avoid removing such evidences from garments unless it is thought absolutely necessary for its preservation. So when you found some small particles of small fragments of glass is on the sole of the shoe of the suspect, so what you have to do, don't remove that glass fragment, just wrap it along with the shoe and pack it. Then when a determination of the direction of impact is desired, all the broken glass must be recovered and submitted for analysis. So if you want to find out the direction of impact of, like if it is a bullet or stone, something like that, hit on the window or door, something like that, so you have to collect all the glass fragments, and only the further examination or analysis will be um, successful. And whenever possible, the exterior and interior surface of the glass must be indicated. And in case if in which this is not immediately apparent, the presence of dirt, paint, grease or putty may provide an indication as to the exterior surface of the glass. So the dirt, paint, grease and all may provide indication to these whether this is of exterior surface of the glass or interior surface of the glass. If you got any information, like if you know whether this is exterior or interior, you have to mention this is the exterior portion of the glass and this is the interior portion of the glass, like that. So this is how we collect and preserve the glass evidences. So in short, we can say, or as a conclusion, we can say that all broken glass at a crime scene like should be like collected like same evidences, same as other evidences like paint or fingerprints, like that other evidences. And while collecting these, before collecting these broken glasses, you should photograph um, these glass evidences, and before it is handled by the investigator. So how was it lying? So in that position you have to take photograph and or videograph or sketch if possible. So means that you have to document how it was, how the crime scene was, how glass fragments were shattered in the ground, and all those things you have to take photograph before it is handled by the investigator. And after the first photos are taken of the undisturbed evidence, the larger fragments should be numbered with a grease pencil on the side facing up and rephotographed or keyed to a sketch in order to facilitate a later reconstruction. So why we are doing this is for reconstruction of crime scene purpose. That and it is if a qualified fingerprint expert is present at the crime scene, the glass fragments should be checked for latent fingerprints before the fragments are collected and packed for transport to the laboratory, or otherwise investigators should be careful to avoid destroying the fingerprints when marking and handling the glass, and investigators should wear protective gloves to avoid leaving their own prints, and they should pick up the fragments by the edges or with rubber tipped tweezers. All the broken glass found at the scene of a crime or hit and run accident should be collected, and the larger pieces should be carefully packed in boxes with cotton or some other soft material between the pieces, and the tiny particles from each individual area kept together and placed in small containers, solid containers. As I said earlier, you have to keep it in solid containers of suitable size. You have to select, and if so, if possible, window frames containing the remaining jagged shards of a broken window should be brought to the laboratory. And this is very much important for the physical matching of the glass fragments. And if the entire frame cannot be removed, the fragments should be numbered in a place with a grease pencil and photograph, and then carefully remove and packed in a separate box. And all packages should be marked with the name or initials of the investigating officer, the date and time of collection, and the nature of contents. And this is very much important. And the clothing of victims and the suspects should also be examined for glass particles, and cups and pockets should be turned out onto a sheet of clean white paper, and the contents separately preserved in small vials or boxes, and the clothing should be vacuumed with a vacuum sweeper and equipped with a filter attachment, and filter should be forwarded to the laboratory. So these containers should also be marked with appropriate identification information. So these are all the things you have to uh, take care while collecting and preserving the glass evidences. So I hope you all understood. So if you have any doubts in this, we can discuss about that. So we'll meet in the next session. Thank you.